On Monday, 8th January 2018, the clock ticked and it was the turn of Gani Adetola Kazeem's sunset, a chattering moment for his loved ones. His recall to his maker arrived 5 months to his being ushered into the septuagenarian academy. The world lost a diadem, a gem of inestimable value. Gani was born on the 4th of June 1948 by Limota Lai Obileye Kasumo and Aminu Adetola Kasumo of the Aleshin lawyer by the ancestry in Egbe, a village of about 2 kilometers away from Ijebu-Ode. He was married to Alhaja Tawakalitu Amoke Adetola-Kazeem with 4 blessed children, Mrs. Ekinat Adebokonla Buhari, Mr. Ibrahim Adetunji Adetola-Kazeem, Mrs. Adebola Karamah Shogbuyi, and Barrister Ahmad Adetayo Adetola-Kazeem. A remarkable personality with an outstanding sense of humility, he stood as one of the tallest and most brilliant legal icons in Nigeria. He was a great family man, a lovable legend, a prayer warrior, a devout Muslim, and a complete gentleman. His journey started with his enrollment as one of the pioneer beneficiaries of the universal free primary education of the Obafemi Awolowo-led government of Western Nigeria. He started primary school on 17 January 1955 at St. James United Primary School, Egbe-Atiba Mobalufon, near Ijebu-Ode. The school was built and owned by a community of 6 villages. Although one of the youngest and smallest in stature in his class, Gani consistently led in academic performance, and that secured him an award by the Awujale as one of the best primary school pupils in Ijebu land in 1958. And it came as no surprise that he was made the school's boys prefect in his final year in the primary school in 1960. Despite the fact that Daddy never had the opportunity of attending a secondary school, he remained an encyclopedia of knowledge. He spoke the English language so well that one would think that he had been trained by the Queen of England. He also spoke the Yoruba language and the Ijebu dialect excellently, as though he lived all his life in the village. After completing his primary education in 1960, he moved to Shomolu, Lagos, where he lived with his stepmom, Alhaja Adijat Adetola-Kazeem. He trained in a private commercial institute named Tinuwe Commercial Syndicate, located at number 10 Market Street, Shomolu, to become a secretary. He took the Royal Society of Arts RSA exam, an internationally recognized exam for secretaries, and passed with a distinction. It was at that time he lost his father, so he lost the opportunity to attend a secondary school. He had to join the labor market with his RSA results certificate in 1964 at the age of 16 to augment what his precious stepmom had to cater for them. He got employed by a lawyer in Lagos named Justice Isiaka Oluwa, who needed the service of a shorthand typist, and since he had the skill to sell, he was hired. Because he worked with a lawyer, his interest in law became ignited. He also worked with Hako Limited for 4 years as the secretary to the general manager, where he committed dutifully to his job before joining the Federal Civil Service in June 1970. He worked in several agencies, ministries, and departments, initially as a secretary, and rose to the position of a senior personnel secretary before converting to the administrative cadre and rising to the post of undersecretary. He retired voluntarily from the Federal Public Service in June 1985 on the dot of 15 years in service. While he worked as a civil servant, he read privately for his ordinary and advanced levels GCE and gained admission to the Faculty of Law, University of Lagos, as a part-time student in 1974. He graduated with the LLB second class honors from the faculty in 1979 and was called to the Nigerian bar in 1980. He passed the bar examinations held that year with the second class upper division. At the law school, he was awarded Sir Lionel Brett's Best Prize for emerging the best student in criminal procedure in that examination. He also clinched the prize in commercial law. At the end of his National Youth Service Corps, he clinched the State Merit Award in 1981. He also obtained the LLM degree at the University of Lagos in 1990. His cumulative working experience and the experience gained during the Chamber's detachment facilitated his establishment of Gani Adetola-Kazeem and Co. law firm immediately after retiring from the public service. Since then, he engaged in intensive and extensive litigation work at all levels of the court system throughout the country. He was an expert in handling cases relating to medical and health professionals, management of healthcare institutions, as well as employment, labor, and industrial relations. He also conducted cases relating to bank debt recovery, breach of commercial contracts, intellectual property disputes, landed property, chieftaincy matters, inheritance and administrative estates, constitutional matters, in addition to resolving cases by alternative dispute resolution. His elevation to the rank of the Senior Advocate of Nigeria in 2002 testifies to his robust legal practice, as well as his modest contributions to the development of the law, especially in the areas of medical and health law, as well as labor, employment, and industrial relations. Many of the cases handled at the Superior Court have become locus classicus, which are often cited by lawyers, judges, and writers. Apart from being a legal luminary, he was a great family man. His house was an abode for uniting all members of his family, his wives, and even friends. I remember that our house was a reception center and the prayer house for members of the nuclear and extended families after their wedding ceremonies before they departed to pursue their marital endeavors. He was a prayer warrior who devoted approximately 2 hours of his time to supplicating for every member of his family and reading the Quran every morning. He was a devout Muslim who was completely at peace with people of different religious affiliations. It was to this extent that Mr. Thomas Olajide Shoretire and Mr. John Olugbemi Ayinde of blessed memory stood as his best friends till death did them apart. Chief Gani Adetola-Kazeem, S.A.N., was a member of the Nigerian Bar Association, the International Bar Association, and the Commonwealth Law Association. He was the pioneer chairman of the Medical Law Committee of the Section on Legal Practice of the NBA and an active member of the Body of Senior Advocates of Nigeria. He was membership officer of the Healthcare and Life Sciences Committee of the Section on Legal Practice of the IBA. He was also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, Nigeria, as well as the member of the Nigerian Institute of Management. He delivered numerous papers on varied subjects nationally and internationally. He was a colossus of all eyes in the community and the Olori of the Kazeem descendants, who the late Alhaji S.A.N. Olufunsho Yusuf passionately modeled. He built bridges of love and affection among family members and tried his best to resolve disputes whenever they arose. Everyone saw him as a balm that soothed their pains. Baba, as his workers would call him, was not as rich as it appeared to people because he was truly bestowed with the gift of contentment. I remember once asking him why he was not rich as a son. He was upright and forthright as he always stood for justice. The reason he was the lead counsel in the famous Abdulkarim vs. Lagos State Government 2016, popularly known as the Lagos Hijab case, is not far-fetched. He represented the Muslim Society of Nigeria at the High Court, Court of Appeal, and had already filed a brief of argument at the Supreme Court before his death. He stood firmly for justice until his death, and through him, the right of every Muslim child to use the hijab was restored throughout Nigeria. He was conferred with several titles by various Muslim communities he belonged, all to his country home in Egbe, Ijebu. He was an education enthusiast, a highly industrious and humble professional. Some of his favorite sayings were, "Aomole to mamola, no one knows what tomorrow holds. Akimo to shiomode, you can never tell an impoverished person a childhood, and you lose nothing by being humble." He loved the poem Ishe Logunse so much that he printed the Yoruba and English versions for his children, workers, and anyone who cared to read. His love for children was second to none. At no point was his house devoid of children frolicking around. Up to his death, all his grandchildren were with him on holiday. He would eat and ensure he left something for every one of them to have a taste. All 11 of them at that time. They all loved Grandpa and would quickly mention him as a role model at every opportunity given. I'm proud that my vehicle to life was through Ishola, as he was fondly called by his loving stepmom. I'm also glad that he gave us a great mom, and I'm delighted that my last words with him before he departed the world were prayers. He surely lived a praiseworthy life. He loved God and was kind to everyone. If I ever have to choose a dad a million times over, I would choose no other than Gani Adekunle Adetola-Kazeem, ọmọ Igbe Alàgì Làkókó, ọmọ Ajágilégbèsò Ògùn, ọmọ Àbárí bí oko, Ògùn tí ó pé, ewé ẹ̀ ló kù kan, ọmọ kùkùté ò ṣe é mì, ẹní mi kùkùté ara ẹ̀ ló mì, ọmọ alẹ́ṣinlọ́yẹ́, aṣàjẹṣe lóògùn ọkùnrin, dẹ̀dẹ̀ bí ọ̀rún kì, ajá lókè bí àrá, sùn rí o. May Allah grant him Al-Jannah Firdaus. Amen.
That we don't criminalize manslaughter in respect of corporate organizations. I would rather that we restrict it to individuals who took such decisions that result in the death of another.